Good afternoon, restaurant fans and restaurant folks. This is Steve Barnes from the Times Union, back with another edition of Table Hopping Live. Now, I could not do my job with nearly the thoroughness that I do without input from readers. They really are, and have been since the beginning in 2006, a hive mind that does everything from sees a new sign or goes to a new place. They mention it to me. Sometimes they even stop and take pictures. And in this case, I heard about a place that I knew nothing about, hadn't come across my radar at all, because there was a reader who has been to this place we're going to introduce you to, and she said, you need to check this out. So here with me today to tell us about C&B Kitchen in Cairo, down in the Catskills, are the owners, Chrissy and Ben Traore. Good afternoon, Chrissy and Ben.
Hey guys.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
So give us the pitch. What is C&B Kitchen?
C&B Kitchen is basically our love child. That's not our actual child. It's sourdough bread, croissants, and from scratch food. And we cook everything here. We make everything from scratch, and it's our first business on our own.
Yeah.
Now, are you Brooklyn refugees? Is that accurate? Or I mean, did you just escape from the city? And
we're exiles before exiling was cool. We came over about 3.5 years ago. I was working in Accord and commuting on the weekend, and we decided that we needed to switch things up and move to the country. We want to start a family and have more space and work for ourselves. So we found a property and started doing just that.
Okay, and so what was the property? Because the pictures, when I first Googled you and started looking, frankly, it seemed a bit roadside shackish. And if it were North Carolina or Kentucky, I'd expect fantastic barbecue there. But I don't know that I'd expect, everything bagel seasoned baguettes with nori in them. So, I mean, what was the property there?
It was a bar. So this was actually an old resort, an old Catskills resort called the Pixie Motel. And this was the bar at the Pixie Motel.
So there's like a motel out back with, how many rooms? And
yeah, there's a motel with 6 rooms. It's a giant shed for us, but one day we hope to fix it up and turn it into a bigger bakery. And we have since dropped a shipping container on the property that we've outfitted into a bakery with our croissant machine, the giant dough sheeter, and ovens, and a walk-in. And we built a wood-fired oven. We have chickens, garden. So it's kind of all in one place.
Wow. And are you primarily a bakery, and then you just, you sort of cook on Saturdays? Is that right?
Yeah, but we call ourselves a kitchen.
A kitchen, yeah. Originally, we were mainly wholesale. And then as far as the retail side was concerned, she was supposed to be cooking every day using my bread. But then since COVID hit, we had to restructure. And then now we can only afford to cook Saturdays morning for the public. But we still open from Wednesday through Saturday for bread pickup and other stuff. Yes.
All right. Yeah. So what are some of the things? What are some of your pastries? I've seen those baguettes; they're beautiful. What are some of the other pastries you make? Because Ben, you're the baker. That's your training, right?
Yeah, that is my training. Yeah, I worked at B&Q in the city for a few years. That's where I learned how to make the viennoiseries, and pretty much I decided to take it up on my own and come up with my own version of my own recipe, the way I foresee it, without anybody telling me how they wanted it, and pretty much make it
He takes a traditional French style and then kind of influences it with American, and I get my touch into it from the chef perspective. So we do a triple chocolate croissant with a cocoa dough and a chocolate butter and a hazelnut chocolate inside and a little sea salt on top. We make the world's best cinnamon bun. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, it's fair to say.
In my
world's best cinnamon bun. All right, that's quite a claim. And so you've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You've got baked goods, and you're open during the day, sort of middays. Is that right?
Yeah, we're open 10 to 2. We have a little guy. Yeah.
And you encourage people to order online first, just to make sure
Yeah.
You know, you've got things there. And then Saturday is more, does the menu just, is there a menu or is it, you know, whatever inspires you on a given week?
A little bit of both. So there's always bacon, egg, and cheese, and always grilled cheese. And we make it using Ben's bread. And I make the American cheese from scratch. We use our chicken eggs from the property, and it's all fresh and local and very special.
We also do work with all the local farmers.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much she will go there, find out what they have, what they've been growing, what she'll be using for that week. And then the next week we call them, hey, what do you have? And then literally we play with that.
How many chickens do you have?
I think we have about like 30 chicken, 6 guinea fowls.
Oh, and what do you use? I mean, what do you use the guinea fowl for? They use those eggs too, or?
It's both. So like the eggs are
or
just
dinner. Guinea fowl for dinner.
Dinner soon, but mostly for the ticks. Because
they're good tick
upstate
eaters.
New York is renowned for ticks.
They're the pest control.
Yeah, pest control. Yeah.
Had you ever raised chickens before, or was this sort of, we moved to the country, we might as well get chickens?
No, so from my culture where we grew up, as like I did grow up in the city, but even though we grew up in the city, we're still allowed to have like your own flock, your own, let's say sheep, cows, if you want to, as long as you have a place to like, you know, keep them.
Yeah. And where was this? Where did you grow up?
In Burkina Faso.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically me growing up
with Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso is in the center of West Africa. It's literally like we are a small landlocked country surrounded by Ivory Coast, Ghana, Benin, all those that have the coastal side. Yeah.
And did you move directly to New York, or were you elsewhere in the U.S.?
Yes and no. So after I graduated from high school, I went to Europe first. That's where I have my parents studied and all of that, and I realized that maybe I needed to be further away. So I came to New York, and then I did a year of English studying because my first language is French. Then I moved to Wisconsin for like a couple of years, and then I became, you know.
Was that a culture shock for you?
No, actually, they had a lot of resemblance. Like it was like I actually mostly felt at home.
More of a weather shock.
Yeah, weather shock, because then I was not taking very cool.
Well, Wisconsin prepared you for the Catskills. I mean, you're not exactly snow-free where you are now.
No, not at all.
Not at all. But I'd rather be here, facing the weather in Wisconsin, the cold.
Yeah.
So where does this story? Is this a classic? Young chefs meet in a New York restaurant kitchen, fall in love, and then say, "We're not doing this with kids. We're going elsewhere."
True.
Kind of. Pizza.
You do pizza? Okay.
And the head baker at the time, it was a restaurant that had a bakery attached. So it was the same business, same owner, but two different businesses.
Oh, wait, did you work at Roberta's?
I did. I used to work at Roberta's. I started at Roberta's many, many moons ago when I was young and I didn't know what I was doing and I was so green and, they trained me.
Not a bad place to start.
Nope, kicked my butt. And, but we were working at Saragina. He was the baker and I was the head pizza chef. And basically my prep cook came to me after months and months of working on my sourdough mother. And I really was working on it for the pizza. He came and he was so proud, and Chema was like, "I used the whole thing," and I was like, "No." And Ben was the baker on duty that day, so I went to him and I went, "What did you do?" And
well, it was different department. I had no overseeing or foreseeing on him. He came, he did his business, and he walked away.
Wait, was that the tactic to get the girl? You use up the starter so she comes.
No, so actually it was it was a bad mistake turned wrong, and then I kind of turned it into my advantage, because then since she didn't have any more starter, she had to come and see me, and I had to give her some of hours that we've been cultivating, and then long story short.
Back of the refrigerator.
Long story short, by the end of the shift, she gave me a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So what goes into a good pizza? Because you say wood-fired pizza. There's a bunch of those. So tell me, now you had not made your claim about pizza that you did about your cinnamon buns a little bit earlier. So tell me what goes into a great pizza.
I think I'm not a pizza snob. I've been doing pizza for, about 15 years, but I'm not a pizza snob. There's good pizza of all kinds. There's good pie slices. There's good deep dishes. There's even some good frozen pizzas. I think the first thing is pizza has to be eaten hot. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people sit there and wait to eat their pizza for a long time. Just put it in your mouth. It's best eaten when the cheese is all stringy and hot. And there's only a couple ingredients in pizza. You have dough, sauce, and cheese. So every one is really important, and there's nothing to hide behind. So if you're going to make really good pizza, you got to pay attention to all three. You can't just use, a basic dough that isn't fermented, and then it's going to lack flavor overall. And if your sauce is sweet, or it's, doesn't have enough salt or enough oil, it's not going to have enough flavor. And the cheese, whenever I make pizza, I make my own cheese for it, because that's the best. The most.
So you make your own mozzarella?
Yes.
Now, do you have another kind of cheese that you add to that for a little bit more sharpness? Or is this really, you're a basic sauce cheese dough?
Oh,
Parmesan.
no.
I like the Parmesan add-on, the sauce cheese dough. That's my little America in there. I'm Italian American. We still do pizza pop-ups every now and then, about every month or every other month. So we do pop-ups here with our wood-fired oven, and I make pizza. Yeah.
So what's likely to be on the menu this Saturday? Because the reader who introduced me tells me that she's coming and bringing some folks to see you on Saturday. So can we give her a sneak preview of what might be on the menu?
Oh, it's too early in the week. It's Tuesday.
Right.
You haven't been to the farmers yet?
I'm actually going to this afternoon later to Story Farms in Catskill, and I'll go see what she has. And I think there's a bunch of squash there right now and apples. So probably something using some squash, maybe some polenta. We'll work up something really delicious.
That sounds promising. Now, Ben, tell me about the arborio bread, because just after the first person told me, anytime I started looking around, arborio bread comes out. Somebody told me she's lucky if a loaf lasts 2 days in her house. Tell me about your arborio bread.
Oh, let's see. Arborio bread came out because first I was bored of making the same loaves every day. It's like, cause literally as part of being a baker, it's like being good at being repetition. But as you're doing the same repetition, you have to be better. So tomorrow will be better than the day, would be better than yesterday. So long story short, as I'm playing with, my style of mixing or baking is like incorporation. So how do I get to incorporate ingredient with dough? Because at the end of the day, a grain is a grain, seed is a seed. So it's like, and they all come from the earth. So there must be a way to bind them together. So I've decided to like go ahead and like use an arborio, the same right they use for risotto. So I overcook it a little bit just so it can get smoochy. Then using a mixture of flour and my mother and all of that, I mix it toward the end. So what I found was interesting is like rice is starchy. Dough has gluten. And then once those two mingle together, it comes up with another structure. And that structure is good enough to like make miracles. So it's like you feel like the tang of the rice overnight, mixing with the dough, it gives you this like tang and taste that makes it perfect for French toast.
But it's sweet.
And it's sweet and tangy at the same time. And you also feel the rice. And so it's like, it's good for French toast.
French toast, eating, being alone, some butter,
Eating that covers it. It does sound like toast and butter and maybe a sprinkle of salt over the top, and then you've got it. Now, tell me about the reception that, because I mean, you came from, Brooklyn and hipsters, and they know pizza and they know bread and they know wood fired. And here you are, a Catskills dead motel shack, and you're doing this. You know, you're these weird hipsters from Brooklyn. So tell me about the reception in the past. I mean, because you opened about a year ago to retail, is that right?
Yeah, a little over, no, almost 2 years.
Okay.
Yep. So, you know, we started at the farmer's market in Catskill, and we started serving people there, and we really kind of figured out what people wanted and what would work, and talking to the community and figuring out what was lacking here. We learned about hard rolls and incorporated that into our repertoire. So Ben worked really hard to make
at first we heard about hard roll. What the heck is hard roll? What is a hard roll? Then we went to the store, we bought one. Oh, that's a Kaiser roll. Okay, good. So now how can we make this version better? So here's the situation. What we think, I think any bread at the store that has all those preservatives, that's what's bad for you, for us, because your body does not digest it. Fermentation of bread means your body will fully everything that's in the bread is fully broken down and put in your body, and that goes in your body, and then your body will digest everything. I would say 100%, and it will end up being good for you. I came to that conclusion because my mom has type 2 diabetes, and she kept busting my ears about the fact that her doctor says she only has to eat nothing but in French is like pain complet, but if I translate in English, it's like sourdough bread. I'm like,
right.
Oh, that's what I'm doing now. So if your doctor recommends you sourdough bread, it means there must be something good about it. Mm-hmm. So I digged into it. I found out the longer the fermentation, the better for you. So all our bread so it's all about adaptation. How do you adapt to the new world, to the new situations? All right. So making sure that your bread can sit in the fridge for 48 hours before you bite it and bake it is what's very important. Mm-hmm. Right? And then so coming here, making sure that we can provide people with like a healthy resources, like making them feel like this, you will eat this, and your doctor, you will not hear a complaint from your doctor in the next 6 months is what we want for you. So that's what we've been doing.
Okay, no baker has ever told me any of that. So that's quite a sales pitch. How hot is your oven?
He believes, trust me.
How hot does your oven get? Your oven, is it 800 plus?
Our oven is built for bread specifically, the wood-fired oven. Yep. And it has 6 inches of fire brick all around on all sides. And what it does is it supercharges the heat. So we fire it for several hours, and it holds the heat, and the bottom of the brick, all the way at the bottom, will get up to around 850, 900 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that happens, we know it has enough energy to bake several batches of bread. So we pull all the coals out, and we actually just bake in the oven as the temperature decreases.
As it cools.
And it gets down to about 550 throughout the baking process, and then we start over again.
What do you use for wood? Have you mixed and matched with woods, or do you have a preference?
We do. We found really dry wood works best for us. We found a company called Hardwood Brothers, and we work with them, and they deliver us super dry, kiln dried hardwood, and we're able to use less of it. So it's a little more expensive, but we can fire less wood, and it's more predictable. It lights really well, and it doesn't leave any kind of residue or sap in the oven, which is really important.
Right. What kind of any particular kind of hardwood? Are you using an apple or a hickory or a?
We do a mix of beech, hickory, and I think maple. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
who now? You mentioned that you've got a little one. Tell us about the little one.
So that's love of our life. His name is Cameron. He's almost 2 years old, and he's wonderful. He's here on Saturdays. He runs around the property chasing the chickens, and he's the best.
Yeah.
We look at it like we're here to build a community.
Right.
And we found such great people through being here, and like the reception has been wonderful. We were worried too, like we're moving from Brooklyn. We were never the cool kids in Brooklyn. We weren't the like hipsters. We were like on the fringe. We were like, yeah, we worked at the hipster places, but we aren't cool kids. You know what I mean? So it's been kind of weird being seen that way. you know, we don't intend to paint our building black or install a bunch of metal fixtures and, you know, none of that here. It's kind of, it's just who we are. Shabby chic, authentic.
And how quickly did the country life appeal to you? Did you, after 6 months, you were like, oh yeah, this is right?
Before that, way before that,
Yeah.
because let's say I was still working at Soragina when we were dating, and then she left the place and she was commuting back and forth from Brooklyn to Accord. She was working at Westwind Orchard. She was the pizza chef over there. And then as she's making the trip back and forth, I would go and visit. And I'm like, this reminds me a lot of like the countryside in Wisconsin, the countryside in my country. And honestly, I think that would be the best place to raise our kids versus the city. Because really, I really don't want to have to deal with a child that is born in the city and with, seriously. So long story short, how do we introduce him to nature? Let him like know the difference between a chicken and a guinea fowl, you know, like a chicken and a hen and a rooster. Let him see what looks to be a sheep, a goat, you know, what looked to be a nice tree, an apple, and, you know, pick his own fruit.
Yeah.
You know, grow his own fruit, understand how the lands work, also go to school and learn something and become his own person, you know.
Nice. So tell everybody, how do they reach you? Where do they find you? C&B Kitchen on Facebook. Also, what's your web address? What's your website?
And it's CNB and BE, not CNB. We are C, Chrissy and Ben, and we think we're funny because we like to play word games. CNB.
Yeah.
So SEEANDBE kitchen.com.
Yep.
And your hours are 10 to 2, Monday to Wednesday to Saturday.
Wednesday to Saturday.
For now.
And next week on October 13th, a Tuesday, it's a Tuesday, we're having a chicken wing and beer party with 3 chefs. Ben is throwing down his African chicken wings. Chef Alex Dill of Dixon Roadside is coming. And Bruce Bryant of Scribner's is coming. And we are going to have a Honey Hollow pouring beer. And we're going to decorate our oven with mosaic. So if you have broken glass or some broken plates or cups that you've been looking for something to do with, bring them down. We're going to break them. We're going to glue them on our oven to make a beautiful mosaic.
Yeah, when I break a mug, it never would have occurred to me to glue it to a wood-fired oven in Cairo. But I love the idea as opposed to just sweeping it into the trash.
Or bring your chip stuff that you want to lovingly release to a better life.
Lovingly release. That's beautifully put.
Throwing away.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. It's been great getting to know you, and I look forward to getting down there soon because I need to try that pizza and whatever else you're cooking, and that arborio bread. We'll see if it lasts more than 2 days in my house. Probably not. So we've been talking to Chrissy and Ben Traore, the owners of C&B Kitchen in Cairo. They're open Wednesday to Saturday, 10 to 2, mostly breads, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then food, whatever Chrissy is cooking, and maybe she'll be doing pizza. They've got a chicken wing and beer thing coming up. Check it out on their website. I will also be including this on the Table Hopping blog later this afternoon, so you can check back in on the video and get all the details there. Chrissy and Ben, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you for having us.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Until next week, this is Steve Barnes from Table Hopping Live. We'll see you at 1 p.m. next Tuesday. Eat well and be well.